Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 22nd of Jan 2023 and the price of Bitcoin guys almost crossed the $30,000 mark and the overall global cryptocurrency market is definitely looking green. Now is this the signs of bullish market? I really am not sure because at a macro level guys, there are two reasons why the price is moving in an upwards trend. One is because of BlackRock getting into the Bitcoin spot ETF game, and the second and most importantly guys, earlier this month, the extreme left-leaning administration and rhinos, they did go ahead and increase the US debt ceiling and roughly $1.5 trillion are going to be injected into the market. So it is possible that in the next coming days and weeks, we might be seeing the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to definitely pump up. But listen guys, what happened is that Jerome Powell, the chair of Federal Reserve, did have an interview with the US lawmakers and he did actually state that there is a very high possibility that in the next coming months, there will be an increase in the interest rate hike. Now what does that mean in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? So we'll definitely go ahead and look at that in today's episode. And guys, we have some notorious news from the founders of Three Arrows Capital and looks like they are back, so we'll definitely go ahead and look at that. And guys, Three Arrows Capital was a hedge fund that dealt in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and the project went completely belly up. Essentially, they were kind of like a scam and they were using people's money in order to invest and eventually they had a massive collapse. But the new project called as 3AC Ventures or Three Arrow Capital Ventures is focused on superior risk-adjusted returns without leverage, so we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that. And guys, regarding the Bitcoin mining industry, we have some update. One is a positive news and the other one is a negative news. The negative news is that Bitcoin Core Scientific did actually file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the positive news is that CleanSpark is on the verge of acquiring 2 Bitcoin mining campuses for roughly around $9.3 million. So quite a lot to talk about guys in today's episode. And like we do in every Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, we are going to be discussing 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Now both the news guys are an event that I'm conducting on the 20th of July and the first one is called Metaverse, the Hyper Reality and New World Order. And I tend to do these sessions guys every month. So listen up guys, if you're someone who's working into the Metaverse space and if you do want to sponsor this session, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. And the second session guys is PESTLER analysis on Bitcoin. And guys listen, if you've done your MBA or Masters, you would know what PESTLER analysis stands for. It stands for political, economical, social, technological, legal, environmental, and religious analysis on Bitcoin. Now both of these sessions are completely free and both the event takes place on the 20th of July. So look in the show notes below guys, the registration is completely free of cost. So quite a lot to cover guys in today's episode. So let's get started with it right away. Welcome to the Crypto and Coffee at 8, the daily podcast that keeps you up to date on all latest developments in the world of cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and NFTs. Join us Monday to Friday as you kick off your day with a cup of coffee and a deep dive into the exciting and rapidly evolving world of digital assets. We'll cover the latest news and trends in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space, as well as delve into the growing world of NFTs or non-fungible tokens and Metaverse. Plus, we'll keep you updated on the latest developments from Dubai, UAE and the wider Middle East region. Whether you're a seasoned crypto enthusiast or just getting started, Crypto and Coffee at 8 has something for you. Our expert host will provide insight and analysis on the most important topics in the industry and help you stay up to date on the latest developments. We'll bring you interviews with leading figures in the crypto and blockchain space and explore the ways in which these technologies are changing the world around us, from the impact on traditional financial systems to the potential for revolutionizing industries and transforming societies. We'll cover it all on Crypto and Coffee at 8. So tune in and join us for a daily dose of Crypto and Coffee at 8 and let's stay ahead of the curve together. We'll start your day off right with the most important news and insights from the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain and the Metaverse and help you navigate this exciting and rapidly evolving landscape. In Crypto and Coffee at 8, the daily podcast covers the latest developments in the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain and the Metaverse. We'll also bring you updates on the latest news from Dubai, UAE and wider Middle East region. This also includes a range of topics such as developments in the local and blockchain industry, including new projects and initiatives, regulatory updates, and policies related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region, local and regional events and conferences focused on crypto and blockchain, interviews with leading figures in Dubai, UAE and Middle East crypto and blockchain community, coverage of any significant news or events related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region. By covering these local and regional developments, in addition to the wider world of cryptocurrency and blockchain, Crypto and Coffee at 8 aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the industry and its impact on the Dubai, UAE and Middle East region. Now before we kickstart today's episode, I have an important message, so check this out. Shaloop Group, a luxury retail and distributor which is headquartered in Dubai, are getting into the NFT game. And here's the deal guys, they are not just getting into the NFT and Metaverse space, they are going to be shaping the NFT, Metaverse and Web 3.0 space, which I believe is excellent not just for Dubai and UAE, but also for the global cryptocurrency community as well. And guys, Shaloop Group's Web 3.0 sneaker brand called Soulmates revealed their first NFT collection on the 12th of April. Now what is really interesting is that it's called as Soulmates, so it's spelled as S for sugar, O for orange, L for Larry. Now instead of E, they've replaced it with Web3 and it is the number 3, mates.xyz. And guys, listen, Shaloop Group has over half a century's worth of experience in luxury goods, and them getting into the NFT space is a massive deal. Now if you're a sneakerhead, you definitely need to check out soulmates.xyz. And once again guys, the number is 3 instead of an E. It has all the information, and in the show notes below you'll get all the information. And listen guys, if you want to be an early adopter, you can also pre-mint it at www.premint.xyz/soulmates. So definitely check it out, and they have a Discord community as well. And guys, Nick, who is the head of corporate innovation at Shaloop Group and also the co-founder of Soulmates, has a WhatsApp group where he constantly provides updates in the area of NFTs, Metaverse and Web 3.0. So guys, check out soulmates.xyz and be part of the Soulmates OG NFT that is definitely going to shape the industry. Next, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs, and these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now guys, since we've taken care of that, the global cryptocurrency market has definitely pumped up. And most likely guys, this is because of news surrounding BlackRock getting into the Bitcoin ETF game. And as of today, it is at $1.17 trillion. And since the last 24 hours, it is up by 5.31%. The total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours has definitely pumped up, and it is at $60.83 billion. And since the last 24 hours, guys, it is up by 67.61%. The numbers are definitely looking good, but definitely nowhere near the volumes going back to 2020. The volume in DeFi is definitely looking good at $3.74 billion, but unfortunately guys, DeFi is accounting for only 6.15% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Now, so far as the total value locked is concerned, $44.61 billion is locked in this protocol, and if you look at the 24-hour volume guys, which I've been tracking from this week onwards, it is only at $2.56 billion. So think of it guys, we talk so much about DeFi, we talk so much about decentralized finance, distributed or decentralization, the future of technology, but if you look at the volume for the entire world, in DeFi it is only at $2.56 billion, and Lido is still dominating so far as the total value locked is concerned, and $13.9 billion is locked in this protocol. Now let's very quickly look at the 24-hour volume, because number one is Uniswap, and the volume has definitely crossed the $1 billion mark, and it is at $1.14 billion. PancakeSwap guys is number second at $257.25 million. Core Finance is at $256.45 million, and Dodo is at $163.70 million, and finally Trader Joe guys is at $61.01 million. Now what I'm going to be doing from next week onwards guys is I'm going to be breaking down these DeFi protocols so you listeners can get a better understanding of what these projects are. Now let's look at the volume of stablecoins. It is definitely much better than the previous weeks, but definitely not something to brag about. It is at $57.11 billion, and stablecoin guys still accounts for 93.88% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. But listen to this guys, out of the $57.11 billion, Tether USDT accounts for $41.75 billion, followed by Circle USDC at $6.67 billion, and Binance's 24-hour volume has definitely picked up pace. It is at $3.76 billion, but if you look at its market cap guys, since the last 24 hours it is exactly the same at $4.26 billion. So the big question for you guys is, let's say 6 months from now, between these three protocols, that is Tether USDT, Circle USDC and Binance BUSD, who do you think would be leading the race so far as the 24-hour volume is concerned? To be honest guys, I wouldn't be surprised if the volume of Circle USDC in the next 6 months definitely overtakes Tether USDT as well. But I'm hoping I'm 100% wrong, because in order for that thing to happen, the SEC will aggressively have to go after Tether USDT. And if that thing happens guys, be prepared for the worst catastrophe in the history of cryptocurrencies. Now let's look at the market cap, 24-hour trading volume and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now Bitcoin's market cap is $581 billion. Just to give you some perspective guys, when Bitcoin was at its all-time high, only the market cap of Bitcoin was $1.3 trillion. So from $1.3 trillion, it is down to $581 billion. As a matter of fact, the global cryptocurrency market is even less than Bitcoin's market cap alone. So I thought I'll just share these numbers just to give you some perspective. Now Ethereum's market cap is $226 billion. The 24-hour trading volume of Bitcoin is definitely picked up pace at $33.5 billion, which just means guys, a lot of them are actually buying Bitcoin. Ethereum's 24-hour trading volume has marginally picked up pace as well, but nowhere close to Bitcoin's 24-hour volume, and it is at $11.6 billion. The dominance of Bitcoin is 49.80%, and the dominance of Ethereum is 19.30%. Now in today's episode guys, let me very briefly run through the market cap of privacy coins and Web3 protocols. Monero is definitely clearly an outlier with $2.65 billion, and the second is Mask Network at $322 million, followed by Zcash at $230 million. Now so far as Web3 protocol is concerned guys, Chainlink is definitely the leader, and surprisingly Chainlink's market cap is definitely higher than Monero as well. This just might be the first time guys, to be honest, I've noticed that, and its market cap is $2.98 billion. Filecoin is number second at $1.67 billion, and finally Stacks at $1.13 billion. And look guys, we talk so much about privacy, we talk so much about government or centralized entity having access to our data, but if you actually look at people using privacy preserving protocols, unfortunately the usage is ridiculously low. Now one reason why I can think of that is purely because of user experience. Because listen guys, I've said this time and over again in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 and even my Metaverse Everything podcast, in order for users to switch from current existing systems to new one, the new experience or the new user experience has to be 10 times better. Now does privacy preserving protocols offer that user experience? Definitely not. As a matter of fact, I would even say that using cryptocurrencies in general is definitely taking 10 steps backwards. So it's really critical to truly understand the user experience in order for us to get mainstream adoption. Now guys, in today's episode, I'm going to be breaking down Binance BUSD. And look guys, unfortunately, if you look at it via CoinMarketCap, as of today it is at 19th, and to be honest guys, last year Binance BUSD was somewhere between the 6th or 7th. Now the price of Binance BUSD guys will always be equivalent to $1. Now if you do want to find out more information regarding Binance BUSD, the website is www.binance.com/en/BUSD. Now in today's episode guys, I'll just very briefly run through what Binance BUSD is, but in order to get a thorough understanding, what I'd really recommend you to do is read through quite a lot of blogs or even listen to my episode, because there are so many changes that are currently taking place in the world of Binance BUSD. So in today's episode, I'll very briefly run through what Binance BUSD is. And Binance BUSD guys, the ticker symbol is BUSD. And as most of you guys know, it is a one-to-one US-backed stablecoin issued by Binance, which is done in partnership with Paxos. And guys, it is also approved and regulated by New York State Department of Financial Services, also called as NYDFS. And the Binance BUSD audit report can be viewed from the official website. Now mind you guys, if you were to compare the audit report of Binance BUSD, let's say in comparison with Tether USDT, it is maybe even 10 or 20 times better. Now Binance BUSD guys was launched on 5th of September 2019, and Binance BUSD guys aims to meld the stability of the dollar with blockchain technology. It is a digital currency, and it's important to note guys that it is issued as ERC20 token and also supports the Binance ecosystem as well. Now so far as the use case is concerned guys, based on the price stability, stablecoins in general play an important role in transactions, payment and settlements, and particularly in the world of decentralized finance as well. And that's one of the reasons why guys, if you look at the volume of stablecoins, it often accounts for over 90% of the total crypto market volume. Now let me share some of the use cases of Binance BUSD, because you can transfer your digital BUSD anywhere in minutes with low cost and on the blockchain, and you can trade Binance BUSD on different exchanges and decentralized exchanges as well. You can deposit Binance BUSD to earn an interest rate, and you can also use Binance BUSD as a payment for goods and services. You can also use Binance BUSD as collateral and loan asset. You can use it as cross-collateral in futures, and even store Binance BUSD on an exchange or in a wallet. Now so far as the ecosystem is concerned guys, the Binance BUSD ecosystem has grown exponentially in 2021, and the stablecoin grew from a market capitalization of $1 billion guys at the start of 2021 to over $14.6 billion. And at one point of time, it also reached $16 billion, but unfortunately, guys, now it is back to roughly around $4.26 billion. And at the moment, guys, Binance BUSD is still the third largest stablecoin by market cap, behind Tether USDT and USDC. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the numbers are looking at, let's say 6 months from now. And for users, guys, who are interested in yield farming and lending Binance BUSD, it is available on centralized platforms like Binance, and guys, top DeFi protocols like Venus, Aave, Yearn Finance and more allow users to earn yield on their Binance BUSD as well. Now guys, let me very briefly run through some information how Paxos kicks in, because Paxos guys revealed asset backing BUSD. Now in light of Terra USD saga which happened last year, a number of stablecoin issuers have moved to disclose the asset backing their coins, and as of 30th of June 2022, 96% of the assets backing the Binance BUSD were held in cash and cash equivalent, while 4% were invested in US Treasury bills, and this is what the information that is revealed by Paxos. Now if you were to compare this with Tether USDT guys, trust me, the audit report of Tether USDT is extremely scary and even laughable, to be honest. The one thing you need to remember guys, so far as Binance BUSD is concerned, all of the company's cash balances are held in US insured depository institutions, while the cash equivalents are held in US Treasury bills with maturities of 3 months or less, or overnight repurchase agreements over collateralized by US Treasury investments. And this, guys, is the reason why the SEC wants to go after them. Could it be possible that the SEC is only going after Binance BUSD because of the whole drama between FTX and CZ? I definitely do think so. Now let me try to give a final bit of information regarding Binance USD and charity, because in April of 2022, Binance donated $2.5 million in Binance BUSD through its charity organization in US for UNHCR, which is a United Nations Refugee Agency, because this was the agency's first stablecoin crypto donation, and the move demonstrated how cryptocurrencies can play a critical role in raising funds and supporting humanitarian aid. Now guys, let's discuss the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. Now guys, I've been tracking the price of Bitcoin, and it actually did go well over the $30,000 mark, but it has gone down considerably as well. And at the time of recording the podcast, the price of Bitcoin was $29,949. And I wouldn't be surprised, guys, by the time I go and edit it and publish it, the price of Bitcoin would have crossed the $30,000 mark once again, because since the last 24 hours, it is up by 6.15%. Since the last 7 days, it is up by 19.40%. Ethereum is also doing pretty good since the last 24 hours. It is at $1,882. Since the last 24 hours, it is up by 5.52%. Since the last 7 days, it is up by 14.37%. Binance Coin, guys, is also relatively doing better. It is at $248. Since the last 24 hours, though, it is marginally up by 1.83%. Since the last 7 days, it is up by 5.63%. And look, guys, because of two news, that is BlackRock getting into the ETF game, and because of the news regarding US debt ceiling being increased, more funds are going to be injected into the market, and I wouldn't be surprised for the next few days or maybe even weeks, we might see the market looking completely green. Now, will that trend continue? I really am not sure, because what happened is that, guys, the chair of Federal Reserve Board, Jerome Powell, told US lawmakers that inflation pressures continue to run high, and the process of getting inflation down back to 2% has a long way to go. And guys, he also said that it may make sense to move rates higher, but to do so at a more moderate pace. So could it be possible, guys, that next interest rate hike might just be a little bit higher than what happened last month? Now, what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, if you go to YouTube, he has a testimony to the Congress, and it lasts for well over 3 hours. Now, personally, I would recommend you to listen to it so that you look at information from the first source. But let me try to summarize it and give my opinion on that, because it's important to note, guys, the committee is strongly committed to returning inflation to its 2% objective. And on 14th of June, the US Federal Reserve officials did actually announce a pause in interest rate hike, leaving rates at 5% to 5.25% after more than a year of consecutive rate hikes. And guys, if you want to look at the official information, I strongly recommend you to look at the Federal Reserve Board website. Now, one thing to remember, guys, the next FOMC meeting is scheduled to take place between the 25th and 26th of July. So keep an eye on the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, let's say between the 22nd and 23rd. Now, the Federal Reserve Board, guys, is responsible for promoting maximum employment and stable coins in the United States, and they are working to bring down the high inflation and achievement. Now, let me try to break down his testimony that he had with Congress, because what he said, guys, is that the Federal Reserve Board is responsible for promoting maximum employment and stable prices in the United States, and they are working to bring down high inflation and achieve a 2% inflation goal. And the economy, guys, as we know, has been growing slowly, with consumer spending increasing, but the housing sector does remain weak. Now, the job market, guys, is surprisingly doing really strong, with ridiculously low unemployment rates, but there is still a shortage of available workers. Inflation is higher than desired, but longer-term expectations do remain stable. And one thing you need to always remember, guys, the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates and reducing security holdings to control inflation, but it does take time for these actions to have full effects, and the current credit conditions may affect economic activity and inflation. Now, so far as the FOMC is concerned, that is a Federal Open Market Committee, they have decided to maintain interest rates and assess more information before making further decisions. And the goal, guys, once again, is to bring inflation down to 2%, which may require slower economic growth. And one surprising thing and shocking thing that he did actually state is that the banking system is considered sound, but efforts are being made to address vulnerabilities. And the Federal Reserve Board, guys, is dedicated to its public mission and will continue to work towards maximum employment and stable prices. Now, the big question is, guys, how does it impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? So let's have a look at the impact of Federal Reserve's monetary policy on the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Now, mind you, guys, this can be really complex and influenced by various factors, but here are some ways how I think it could potentially affect cryptocurrencies. The first one is inflation concerns. Now, listen, guys, if the Federal Reserve's report indicate a persistent and significant inflationary pressure, it may lead some investors to view cryptocurrencies, particularly, let's say, Bitcoin, as a hedge against inflation. And in such cases, guys, the increased demand for cryptocurrencies as an inflation hedge could potentially drive higher prices. What are your thoughts, guys? The second thing I can think of is interest rate changes. And guys, the Federal Reserve's decisions regarding interest rate can have a ripple effect on various financial markets, including cryptocurrencies as well. And if the Fed raises interest to control inflation, it could result in higher borrowing costs, which might hamper investor sentiment and lead to a decrease in cryptocurrency prices. And that's one of the reasons, guys, what I'd really recommend you to do is look at the prices around the 22nd or 23rd, few days before when Jerome Powell will be announcing the interest rate hike. Now, the third one, guys, I can think of is the risk appetite and market sentiment, and the Federal Reserve's assessment of the economic situation and its outlook can influence overall market sentiment and risk appetite. And if the report suggests a positive economic outlook with stable prices, it might boost investor confidence in traditional assets and potentially divert some attention and funds away from cryptocurrencies, which could have a negative impact on the prices as well. And guys, another thing that pops into my mind is because of ChatGPT, a lot of the world so far as finance is concerned has focused investment more on artificial intelligence, and we haven't heard any news regarding Metaverse or even cryptocurrencies lately. Now, the fourth and final part I can think of is where the news regarding Federal Reserve Board might impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is to do with regulatory factors. While it may not directly be related to Federal Reserve's report, any regulatory developments or statements made by, let's say, policymakers regarding cryptocurrencies can significantly impact their prices. And if the report or subsequent decisions, guys, indicate potential regulatory changes or increased scrutiny on cryptocurrencies, it could create uncertainty and negative effect on the prices. So those are my thoughts, guys. But one thing you need to remember, it's important to know that cryptocurrency prices are influenced by a wide range of factors beyond just, let's say, the Federal Reserve's actions and statements. And as we know, guys, cryptocurrency markets are highly volatile and can be influenced by technological advancements, global events and investor speculations, and many other factors as well. Therefore, guys, it's challenging to predict precise impact of the Federal Reserve's report on cryptocurrencies. Now, what are your thoughts, guys? I do feel that cryptocurrency influencers lately do have a massive role in deciding the price of cryptocurrencies as well. Let's say if Charles Hoskinson decides to put up a tweet stating that he's no longer interested in Cardano and he's focusing on another project, what do you think happens to the price of ADA? It is definitely going to dump down, isn't it? Now, guys, let's discuss some news regarding the notorious founders of Three Arrows Capital, and they have started a new venture called as 3AC Ventures, and they are focusing on superior risk-adjusted returns without leverage. So, guys, if you go to the website, it just gives you a pop-up that they are focusing on superior risk-adjusted returns without leverage, and you just have to send them an email. That's about all. But what happened is that Cointelegraph did actually publish a report yesterday which stated that OPNX, the ticker symbol for that, guys, is OPNX, and they, guys, are a platform for trading claims against bankrupt crypto entities, and they announced a new ecosystem partnered 3AC Ventures. And according to the developers, guys, the partnership will invest in projects building in the OPNX ecosystem and working towards a decentralized future. And one thing to note, guys, OPNX was founded by Su Zhu and Kyle Davis, and Su Zhu, guys, at one point of time was a massive advocate of Ethereum, and towards the later part he did have some arguments regarding Ethereum, and if you actually do follow his tweets, he did start to use quite a lot of curse words regarding Ethereum as well. But nonetheless, going back to the news, Su Zhu and Kyle Davis also co-founded the now bankrupt Singaporean hedge fund called as Three Arrows Capital. Now, it's really important to note, guys, in Dubai earlier this year, Dubai's VARA officials, that is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority officials, said that they issued OPNX and its founders with a cease and desist order, which resulted in some restrictions being applied regarding residents of Dubai and the rest of UAE. Now, what happened is that OPNX then actually launched its exchange on 4th of April, prompting VARA to issue an investor and marketplace alert on the subject before sending the written reprimand. And on 18th of April, guys, Mark Lamb and Sudo Arguman, who co-founded the business with Kyle Davis and Su Zhu, were also addressed in the reprimand, as was OPNX Exchange CEO Leslie Lamb. And guys, last year in June of 2022, Three Arrows Capital filed for bankruptcy in British Virgin Islands due to a series of leveraged tradings gone wrong, and this was due to the cryptocurrency bear market and its exposure to $40 billion worth of collapse during the Terra Luna ecosystem in May of 2022. And both Kyle Davis and Su Zhu, guys, could not be located after the bankruptcy filing. But I do remember media did actually suggest that they spent their time in Dubai and Indonesia during that time. And guys, one thing to remember, at its peak, Three Arrow Capital reportedly managed $10 billion in assets under management, and during its bankruptcy, the firm had creditor claims of $3.4 billion, and on 15th of June, Three Arrow Capital liquidators filed a motion to hold Kyle Davis in contempt of court in the United States. However, the motion does not apply to Su Zhu, whose Singaporean citizenship does not subject him to jurisdiction of the United States. So guys, it's going to be really interesting to see what the new venture is. But what I'm going to be doing is most likely I'm going to send them an email and let's see if I can get them on the podcast. Now guys, we have some update regarding the Bitcoin mining industry. Now we have a positive and a negative news. Now let's start with the negative news, because Bitcoin miner Core Scientific did actually file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I'm pretty much sure, guys, that I did mention about this news a few months ago as well. And finance magnates, guys, has reported that the publicly listed crypto miner company plans to repay secured creditors in full, and it is said it has seen a boost in its mining business. And it did actually say that it had seen a boost in its mining business due to the recent improvement in Bitcoin prices. Now, very much sure, guys, I believe it was in December of last year or in the first quarter of this year that I did mention the impact of low prices on Bitcoin mining industry. But nonetheless, we do have a positive news as well, and CleanSpark, guys, is planning to buy 2 Bitcoin mining campuses for $9.3 million, and they have entered into a definite agreement to purchase turnkey mining campuses in the US and in the state of Georgia, and they are moving forward with its aggressive infrastructure expansion in the US by acquiring 2 mining facilities with a $9.3 million cash deal. And CleanSpark, guys, will purchase turnkey Bitcoin campuses in Dalton, Georgia. With turnkey mining, users can be assembled, configured, and optimized Bitcoin mining rigs to use on mining farms, and the facilities, guys, will host 6,000 anti-miner S19 XPs and S19J Pro Plus S, which are expected to add about 1 exahash per second to CleanSpark's hash rate following the deal's completion. And according to Zach Bradford, the CEO of CleanSpark, the newly acquired infrastructure will enable the company to reach its target of 16 ETH hash per second by the end of this year. Now look, guys, the Bitcoin mining industry is a little bit trickier because depending on how much funds you're raising and because of the liquidity nature aspect of Bitcoin, it could be possible that, let's say, you can anticipate profits, let's say 18 months from now, but if the prices of Bitcoin tends to go down, you're forced to liquidate, and that's exactly what happened towards the last quarter of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023. Now, guys, let's discuss 2 news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. Both the news, guys, are on events that I'm conducting on the 20th of July, and the first one is called as Metaverse, the Hype Reality and New World Order. Now listen, guys, unfortunately lately I'm not seeing quite a lot of news regarding Metaverse. When Facebook changed its name from Facebook to Meta, on an average given they have to find at least 3 to 4 news regarding Metaverse, but in 2023 the news regarding Metaverse has completely died down, and the news regarding artificial intelligence has definitely taken on board. Now the event called as Metaverse, Hype Reality and New World Order will take place on the 20th of July from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And guys, the whole idea is to educate the people on Metaverse. We're going to be discussing the hype regarding Metaverse. And because of Facebook changing its name from Facebook to Meta, what other institutions and companies actually they join board? We're also going to be discussing reality versus expectations. We'll be looking at the hardware and software challenges and limitations. We'll also look at real life use cases. And finally, guys, when it comes to New World Order, will the United States of America have a competitive advantage, or will it be Saudi Arabia or a Middle Eastern country? And what is it that countries can do in order to be an early adopter in the Metaverse? So essentially, guys, this session is broken down into 3 parts. In part A, we'll look at the history of Metaverse. We'll also discuss the different timeline of mainstream adoption of Metaverse. We'll look at the hype of Metaverse, the amount of ridiculous funding that did actually take place in Metaverse. And what I noticed, guys, in LinkedIn, people all of a sudden became overnights and experts in Metaverse, and now these same people have become experts in artificial intelligence. And what is surprising is that they have become experts literally overnight. And in part A, guys, we'll also be looking at hardware and software in the Metaverse. Now, one company that does actually stand out is Nvidia, and looks like they are on the verge of becoming another $1 trillion company. And Nvidia, guys, deals with chips and semiconductors. And if you're an investor, that is an area you definitely need to look at. Now in part B, guys, we look at areas where Metaverse merges with the physical world, and we'll also be discussing news and events surrounding Metaverse in Dubai. And one topic, guys, which I'm going to be adding exclusively from the next event onwards is the importance of centralized Metaverse versus distributed Metaverse. Now look, guys, I'm a massive advocate of Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies, but when it comes to Metaverse, I do have this feeling, or rather I'm pretty much sure, that a centralized Metaverse will offer a much better user experience than, let's say, a distributed Metaverse. Look at the augmented reality, guys, that Apple actually launched, and is going to be live by 2024 next year. And if you were to compare that, let's say, with Decentraland or the Sandbox Metaverse, it is literally like comparing 2023 with, let's say, 1980s way of using computer. So we'll definitely go to look at that. And we'll also look at blockchain's use cases in the Metaverse, and do we actually require blockchain in the Metaverse? But so far as cryptocurrencies is concerned, what kind of payment systems will be idle in the Metaverse? You also need to take into consideration the whole blockchain trilemma problem, that is security, scalability, and decentralization, or distributed aspect, how I like to call it. And we'll also look at the top Metaverse platforms, the limitations of blockchain. We'll also discuss the use case of NFTs, and lately, guys, there is a lot of news surrounding artificial intelligence, so we'll go ahead and discuss the impact artificial intelligence will actually have in the metaverse. And in part C, guys, we're going to be discussing Dubai Metaverse strategy. And guys, I do have a standalone episode discussing everything about Dubai Metaverse strategy, so please feel free to go ahead and listen to that. We'll also be going ahead and discussing the legal governing body and how will policing work in the metaverse. And one of the visions, guys, of Sheikh Hamdan is for Dubai to be the top 10 city in the world so far as metaverse is concerned. So we'll definitely go ahead and look at that as well. We'll also look at Dubai Metaverse Assembly, the networking event, and quite a lot more. And guys, what I'm also going to be discussing is Saudi Arabia's role in the metaverse, because in Saudi Arabia, guys, they have Vision 2030 and they're expecting over 1 billion visitors in metaverse. So we'll definitely go ahead and have an in-depth discussion on that. Now, on the 20th of July, guys, I do have another event, and to be honest, guys, this is one of my favorite events to talk about. And the session is called as PESTLER analysis on Bitcoin. But listen, guys, so far as PESTLER analysis is concerned, you can do it, let's say, on stable coins, you can do it on metaverse, you can do it on artificial intelligence, and you can do it in quite a lot more. So PESTLER analysis, guys, stands for political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and religious analysis on Bitcoin. So let me break down what is it that you can expect in that session. Because PESTLER analysis, guys, is a tool used to gain a macro level picture of an industry or an environment, and we break down elements of Bitcoin at a macro level to better understand its impact and vice versa. So far as political is concerned, guys, we'll answer this basic question: is Bitcoin apolitical? Now, mind you, guys, Bitcoin was created as a movement towards separation of money and the state, but as of now, politics and politicians, they do have a very strong say in the promise and the trajectory on Bitcoin and its adoption. And at the outset, guys, left-leaning administration, left-leaning ideologies, they are definitely not in favor of Bitcoin. They're definitely not in favor of open speech, and definitely not in favor of open source. Right-wing politicians and right-wing ideologies, on the other hand, they're definitely in favor of Bitcoin, they're definitely in favor of open source, and definitely in favor of freedom of speech as well. Now, in the second part, that is economical factors, we'll go ahead and discuss: is Bitcoin the biggest global wealth redistribution? And there are numerous reports, guys, which talks about the Bitcoin millionaires, so we'll definitely go ahead and talk about that. And we'll also discuss, can Bitcoin change the dynamics of money? And we'll discuss inflation, exchange rate, and quite a lot more. And the third part, guys, deals with social factors, so we'll go ahead and look at the social impact of Bitcoin and blockchain for generations to come. That is Bitcoin's use case in the first world country versus underdeveloped countries as well. And guys, listen, are millennials the one who are using Bitcoin, or are boomers the one using Bitcoin? And to be honest, guys, the answer would be surprising. Now, in the next part, guys, that is technological factors is concerned, we'll talk about the user experience in Bitcoin, and we'll also talk about the different forks of Bitcoin. And guys, listen, ever since Taproot and Snow Signature kicked in, there was so much hype about programmability on Bitcoin blockchain, and the latest trend is Bitcoin ordinals on Bitcoin blockchain. So we'll definitely have an in-depth discussion on that. We'll also look at the economies of scale, let's say for setting up mining operations and quite a lot of other. And the next point, guys, that is legal factors. We will look at if Bitcoin is legal and where does governance, regulations, and legislations fit in, or do we require any governance at all, and can we just leave Bitcoin all alone and let it be completely organic? Because listen, guys, all of the governance, all of the laws, rules, and regulations are already in the code, but what is it that governments can do in order to support an innovation around Bitcoin's adoption? So we'll definitely go ahead and discuss that. The next point, guys, is environmental factors, and this is the area, guys, where ESG kicks in. So we will look at Bitcoin mining energy consumption, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and opinions on that. We will also look at the past, the current, and the future state of environmental impact on Bitcoin and its mining. We'll also touch base on BlackRock's strength or possible threats on the Bitcoin mining ecosystem as well. And finally, guys, regarding religious factors, we'll also this basic question: is Bitcoin transactions or is Bitcoin blockchain Sharia compliant? And what are the religious factors and commonalities in Bitcoin? And how is Bitcoin seen in the Middle East, and quite a lot more. So these sessions, guys, are completely free of cost, and the PESTLER analysis on Bitcoin starts at 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Gulf Standard Time. So that's all for today, guys, on the Crypto and Coffee Date from Blockchain DXB. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. Check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website area2071.com that talks everything about Metaverse. And guys, if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's get started with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DX. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. I have a question by Jill who asks, do we require any technical expertise for Bitcoin PESTLER analysis session and for the Metaverse episode that you have? To be honest, Jill, no, you do not require absolutely any technical expertise. As a matter of fact, you don't even require a laptop. You're more than welcome to just attend it, let's say via a mobile phone or even laptop, because the sessions will be via Google Meet, and there are quite a lot of people from the banking industry, some government officials, so it'll be good to interact with these people as well, maybe even network with them as well. But to answer your question, no, absolutely no technical expertise is needed. The only area which I would say you require some level of information is when I'm going to go ahead and explain where blockchain fits into the Metaverse, but I'll try to explain it at very basic level. But we still do not require any technical expertise. But having some level of information on how blockchain technology works would definitely be great. But even if you don't have it, what I'll try to do is I'll try to explain it in basic terms in terms of, let's say, how does blockchain technology in the Metaverse impact in three areas, let's say time, cost, and quality. And would it be better, let's say, to have Metaverse working with a centralized system? We will talk about the user experience. And one common theme which I'll harp quite a lot about is the user experience in Metaverse, because the user experience in Metaverse has to be 10 times better than what we are currently experiencing, or else people are not going to get into the Metaverse. So let's say if you have a shopping experience in the Metaverse, you need to answer this question. Let's say if I were to go in a virtual store, does that virtual store offer me a 10 times better user experience than, let's say, shopping online or going to the physical store? If the answer to that is no, unfortunately, Metaverse will not go mainstream. Now, regarding the event in Bitcoin also, Jill, I'm going to go ahead and explain it in absolute basic and pure terms, because based on my understanding being in the Bitcoin space, what I've really noticed is that CEOs and startups and founders, they still do not understand the basics of Bitcoin. So I'll try to explain it in pure basic terms. Even things like Bitcoin ordinals, you do not require absolutely any technical expertise. One thing which I tend to focus on is when I go ahead and explain these concepts, can a 5-year-old understand? And if a 5-year-old can understand, I'm pretty much sure everyone else could understand as well. But to answer your question, Jill, no, you do not require absolutely any technical expertise. So that's it, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. And guys, listen, if you're a startup, a founder, or a chief technology officer, or a developer, or are offering services, what I can do is I can mention your products and services in both of these sessions as well. Maybe even have a trailer of your product or protocols, and maybe even put up your logo in any of these slides. So if you do want to sponsor any of these events, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. And if you do have any other suggestions, mention them in the email as well. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series. And if you do like this episode, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.